as Imagination actually built that cannon in the front, most likely to deal with the possibility of DTs trying to walk in while Flashback is trying to harass with the Stalkers. That could be the thinking behind that. However, Imagination is really in a great spot. Now is the weird time for Flashback.
Yeah, well, I think you're definitely right with the cannon being there to watch for DTs. Kind of similar to something I do in my TVPs. I always just build a turret right at my choke at my natural just to watch for any observers too and any DTs that come along. So not necessarily out of the ordinary to see the Protoss version of that, I suppose.
Not at all.
But yeah, I'm still kind of a little bit confused about what exactly each player is going for. They kind of seem to be switching tech so rapidly that it's kind of hard to keep up.
Yeah, but it's really great to see because I'm very curious as to how it's going to
Yeah.
pan out. Because if Flashback can end up doing something to win this game, that could be incredibly telling in just how to play PvP, as PvP is one of the weirdest matchups out there. And we actually do have a third coming out for Imagination.
Yeah, I just noticed that up at the around the 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock position.
Hmm.
Just thinking about PvP also, just in terms of mirror matchups in general, TVT has evolved quite a bit as we see these Phoenixes doing a little bit of scouting. But with PvP, the maps again have been so small that it's pretty much just been 4 gate versus 4 gate. Now, think about this for a second. What if, because of these bigger maps, PvP turned into a match where players would take a fast expansion, get a lot of different tech buildings, and then just try to spend the entire game faking each other out, going for completely different combinations because of the abilities of getting a lot of different tech buildings really quickly, and just really switching tech on a dime. That would be a pretty cool matchup to watch if that's how it turned into.
That would be amazing. The only issue with that is the nature of 4 gate is that it makes
Yeah.
distances worthless, and it actually will end up increasing the strength of the 4 gate as assuming you can get the proxy pylon up. However, I think that once people learn that 4 gates are actually fairly easily defended against, as long as you see it coming, then it will turn into the. Then I think that's when you'll start seeing the every tech building, all the variation in terms of the units, and that's when the interesting matchup will develop. As long as you get past the initial 4 gate.
Yeah, that would be an awesome match to watch. I really can't wait until something like that happens. Um, wow, that would be really cool just to see a ton of different tech switches.
Yeah, and also I would really like to see proxy pylons being placed all around the map for both players, or a warp prism or something. Just find a way to utilize the nature of warp gate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was kind of thinking about warp gates the other day, and just how really with Protoss you kind of have to get warp gate. There's no other option really. And I was thinking, what if Blizzard made units build more quickly than they do now out of regular gateways, but then allow warp gates to give you the ability rather to warp units in everywhere. So kind of give a benefit to both. So maybe we'd start seeing Protoss players switching back and forth between gateways and warp gates even mid game.
That would be definitely cool to see. I can imagine that being utilized in really cool ways in the early game. Just to see a
Yeah.
warp gate versus gateway person and seeing how they actually try to use these things. But something I do want to note is the fact that Imagination has Immortals, no Colossi. He's got Void Rays and Phoenixes. While if you look at Flashback, Flashback has the Colossi but no Immortals or really any Stargate units.
Yeah, he's taking his third too, but it's very late compared to his opponent. And yeah, really with the Immortals plus the Void Rays, that's going to absolutely crush Flashback when Imagination does decide to finally attack.
Yeah, and this is going back to that initial canceling of the 4 gate that Flashback did. That
Yep.
was definitely a bad move. Somehow he's just been behind this entire game without anything really happening. Flashback tried to do some harassment, but it just got completely denied. And now he's behind 50 food.
Yeah, just kind of getting behind in terms of choosing, when to build expansions, what buildings to do. Just, I guess, decision making as far as the build ordering going is really kind of what's holding it back. Looks like he might be able to deny this third, but yeah, he'll be able to deny this third pretty easily, and then he's going to walk in and probably win the game.
Yep, really yeah, he's just gonna continue to just to make sure that Flashback can't do anything. But if you look at this, Flashback does have Blink and Charge upgraded, so he's really putting a lot into these gateway units that don't seem like they're gonna be able to do a lot. You do see that Imagination does have a lot of zealots in his count. He actually has more zealots than charge lots that Flashback has. However, Flashback did just warp in a bunch of zealots. It doesn't seem like this. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. The Colossi could be a game changer, except for the fact that Imagination, if he controls his Immortals and Void Rays and Phoenixes correctly, the Colossi will get nullified very effectively.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As far as Imagination goes too, he is getting that thermal lance charge for himself too, and I really like that he got the solid unit composition first, and then once he had the map control.
Whoa,
then
mothership,
he could start worrying
mothership,
about getting upgraded.
mothership! I have to interject. Mothership coming out for Flashback.
Whoa, that may change a lot of things because I don't see. Okay, Imagination does have an observer, but hooray, mothership.
Yes. Now what I really want to see is Flashback snipe that observer, move in with the mothership, and then just kill everything, because that would be awesome.
Yeah, he could totally use, maybe 3 or 4 stalkers to just blink in, take out the observer, and then move in with the mothership, just like what you said.
Yeah, but is the mothership going to get into this battle in time? If Imagination moves out now, he could take out the third, and then if he can take out that third, I don't think it'll matter, because he's getting up a 4th base, and that mothership's not going to be enough to change that much. But okay, here we go. The mothership is out. It's moving towards the battle, but here we go. The engagement is happening. We have a Colossi out for Imagination right now. He's pushing in, but really, Flashback has the better positioning. You can see that Imagination is starting to push in with the concave, but he's losing a lot. Flashback definitely came out on top of that battle.
Wow, yeah, and Imagination did lose all his Void Rays there, too. They got way ahead of the other units and just got annihilated by the Stalkers. So even though I would say, we both agree that Imagination has the better unit composition, just the angle of attack really made a huge difference in that battle.
Yeah, definitely. And now Flashback has this mothership, and you know what? If I had to venture on how Flashback should use this mothership, I would actually suggest that he keep it in his base. I would suggest that he moves out with his army, finds out where Imagination has his army, attack at a different angle, and then have the mothership ready for a mass recall if Imagination decides to go for a base trade.
That's not a bad idea at all, actually, because realistically, when observers come into play, you don't really need the mothership as much. The mothership does not a whole lot of damage. It has 6 attacks that do 6 damage each, so yeah, that's a decent amount of damage, but it's not a whole lot in terms of 2 big armies clashing against each other. So yeah, I totally think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and now what would be actually... Does, I don't think Flashback has, any type of Archon tech out, because if he got 6 or 7 Archons and then vortex the entire army of, Imagination, he could then do the Archon move where as the units pop out, the Archon Splash destroys everything.
Yeah, the good old Archon Toilet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I like that name for it. There's gotta be a better name for it than the Archon Toilet.
Yeah, I'm refraining from calling it that.
Stupid macro maps. It's funny that he's saying that because right now he's doing much better macro-wise. He's got a 4th base already.
These guys are just... See, now this is why I love putting in these maps. It's just people need to learn how to play on this, and